Okay, let's just dive straight in. Imagine this. You move in with your brother and his wife, and a while later, he's screaming that you somehow turned his wife gay.
Yeah, I mean, how often does that happen? It's such a wild accusation.
Right. It's like, what level of accidental, chaotic energy are you putting out there? This whole deep dive comes from this amazing Reddit post, AEA for turning my Israel gay.
And look, the asshole part isn't really the point here, is it?
Yeah.
It's more about how just living your life authentically can completely shatter someone else's reality.
Totally. So we're digging into the original post, the update, all the comments. Let's quickly set up who's who. We've got the OOP, the original poster. She's a 30-year-old lesbian. She moves in with her brother, who's a truck driver, and his wife, the SIL. This was back in late 2019. Her goal was pretty simple. Save some cash. Feel safe.
Just find a stable spot.
Yeah.
And maybe enjoy having a bit more space.
Exactly. Except that whole enjoying the space part kind of backfired spectacularly. Her just being there, living her life.
Yeah.
That turned into the catalyst for everything.
It's like she was an unintentional social grenade.
So at first, things were totally fine. Brother's on the road a lot, weeks at a time. OP is out, proud, sometimes has girlfriends or, friends with benefits over.
But respectfully, right. She mentioned keeping it quiet. It was across the house.
Yeah, exactly. No drama. The couple was cool with it. She was just the sister who happens to be gay, living her life visibly.
And that visibility was okay until, well, the world changed.
Yep. 2020 lockdown hits. Suddenly, OOP and the SIL are stuffed together all that time. Think about that intense, nonstop proximity for months.
While the brother's still out driving his truck. So it's mainly just the two women.
Right. And OOP notices the SIL starts acting a bit weird, like distracted, maybe distant. This goes on for about a month.
OP kind of brushed it off. Figured it was just, pandemic stress like everyone else was feeling.
Yeah, but looking back, maybe not just stress.
Well, probably not. Because the SIL was getting this constant up-close view of an alternative way to be happy, a queer relative just existing contentedly. That's powerful exposure if you'd never seen it before.
And then it all just exploded. The brother comes home for a short visit. Things are tense. 2 days after he leaves again, he comes back unexpectedly.
Oh, boy.
And just goes ballistic, bursts into OP's room screaming, accusing her of ruining his marriage, and the line, "You turned my wife gay."
Wow. Just wow. And the SIL was there too.
Right behind him, yelling too, but trying to calm him down, trying to defend OOP, actually.
Okay, that's interesting. Even in that moment, her instinct is to defend her sister-in-law.
Exactly. And then comes the actual truth bomb.
Oh, yeah.
The SIL confirms it to her husband. Yes, she is a lesbian. She'd been closeted.
And the reason it all came out now.
She apparently said it was seeing OOP living so openly, so genuinely happy, it made her realize she couldn't keep up the lie anymore. Seeing that happiness made her own situation unbearable.
Ugh. That is just heartbreaking for the brother. I mean, his world completely imploded in seconds. But that core accusation, it's just so absurd.
Totally.
The idea that sexuality is like contagious.
Yeah.
Or something you can teach. You just can't turn someone gay.
Wow.
OOP didn't reprogram her.
Right. It's like OOP just held up a mirror.
Exactly. She was maybe the permission slip SIL didn't know she needed.
So the immediate fallout for OOP. The brother, furious, grieving, tells her she has to pack her stuff and be gone by the time he gets back from his next trucking run.
Which is awful, kicking family out, especially during a pandemic lockdown. But, you also got to acknowledge the shock he was in. A 7-year marriage, gone. Not because she left him for someone else, but because she discovered this fundamental truth about herself.
Yeah, it's messy, which leads perfectly into the big question everyone in the comments jumped on. Why? Why marry him 7 years ago if she wasn't into men?
Right. Why go through with it? And that's where this stops being just like juicy gossip and becomes really about society.
Okay, tell us more. The IOP shared details about the SIL's background in the comments.
Yeah, and it paints a really clear picture. SIL came from a super strict, conservative religious family, very homophobic environment.
Okay.
And maybe even more critically, she grew up watching her own parents in a really unhappy marriage. Like they openly couldn't stand each other.
Oh, wow. So that was her model for relationships.
Pretty much. She internalized this idea that unhappy relationships, and she used the term uneventful sex, were just normal, expected even. Like that's just what being a grown-up woman in a marriage was.
So when she met the brother,
they genuinely got along, like great friends, same hobbies, totally clicked on a platonic level. But because society drills this one specific script into our heads,
She thought that must be romantic love.
exactly, she mistook that deep, comfortable friendship for romance because she literally didn't have the framework or the language to understand her actual romantic feelings towards women. Those feelings probably got coded as just really strong friendships.
So it wasn't malicious, her marrying him. It was her performing the role she thought she was supposed to play.
Precisely. This is compulsory heterosexuality, confident action. It's this societal pressure, especially on women, to orient their entire lives around men, to see their value primarily in being desired by men.
Right. And it ignores what women themselves might actually desire.
Totally. It teaches you to suppress or mislabel feelings that don't fit the script. It makes you inflate platonic bonds with men into the one, because that's the expected narrative. She learned to read all the signs wrong because she was only given one map.
And it's not just about religion, right? Loads of people deal with this without that specific background.
Oh, absolutely. It's baked into everything. Movies, books, dating apps. The default assumption is heterosexual romance leads to fulfillment. Comfort is everywhere.
So OOP showing up just being happy and gay, it basically broke the system for the SIL.
It was like holding up a mirror to the life SIL had built, and suddenly the distortion was impossible not to see. The internal conflict just became too much.
Which is why everyone agreed OOP was not the asshole. Her only fault was existing authentically.
Her visibility was the key that unlocked SL's reality.
Okay, so let's get to the update. The cleanup after the explosion, surprisingly functional.
Yeah, considering how it started. So OOP does move out, finds her own place. Then she gets the call.
The long haul regret call.
Yep. The brother calls her while he's driving. And OOP says he's just full-on ugly crying, apologizing for losing it, for the accusation, for kicking her out. Yeah. Just total remorse.
That takes guts. But before the big apology, he apparently had to ask something else.
The question that was obviously eating him up, did OOP and Cecile sleep together? He asked both of them.
Oof. And how did that go down?
Well, OP apparently flipped out. Reminded him she despises cheaters, knows his whole dating history, basically called the idea ridiculous.
Okay, fair reaction. And the SI.
Oh, the SIL's reaction is legendary. According to OP, she flipped her shit even worse.
What does she say?
The quote is just perfect. She apparently yelled something like, I found out I was gay, but that doesn't mean I'm some cheating whore.
Yes, good for her.
Right. She was absolutely livid that his immediate assumption after 7 years together was that realizing she's gay instantly meant she'd, quote, hop on the first gay woman in her vicinity.
Ugh, that says so much about his own biases, or maybe just panic.
Totally dehumanizing.
Yeah.
But thankfully, they seem to have moved past that specific awful moment.
So the divorce is happening.
Definitely happening, yeah. Though OOP mentioned the brother is kind of dragging his feet on the paperwork, which is maybe understandable. Scipio moved into the guest room. They're trying to be civil.
And OOP actually helped them both.
Yeah, this part is pretty great. She found resources for both of them, like support groups for straight spouses whose partners come out and threads for people who realize they're gay later in life while married.
Wow, that's incredibly mature.
It really is. Shows they're all trying to move towards being friends again, or at least functional co-parents to their pets.
Which, again, considering the start, amazing. And this whole story, happening mid-2020, it really resonated, didn't it? The comments were full of similar stories.
Oh, hugely. That whole lockdown period, 2020, it was apparently a massive year for self-realization for so many people.
How so?
Well, think about it. Suddenly, all the external stuff stops. Your commute, your office persona, seeing extended family, going out, all gone. You're just stuck.
Stuck with yourself, or stuck in really intense proximity with whoever you live with.
Exactly. And that forces a kind of clarity or maybe confrontation with your own thoughts and feelings, stuff you could ignore when you were busy performing normal life.
So it wasn't just people realizing their sexuality later in life.
No, it was across the board. People realizing they were trans or non-binary, people finally understanding they were neurodiverse, getting ADHD or autism diagnoses after masking for decades.
When the performance stops, the real self has room to emerge.
Sometimes quite loudly and disruptively, as we see here. It explains why so many coming out or realization stories popped up during that specific time.
And leave it to the internet to find the perfect, slightly dark humor in it all. The comments section gave this whole phenomenon a name.
Oh yes, the term that perfectly captured this.
Yeah.
Unexpected sabbatical from heterosexuality.
You gotta love it. The gaycation.
The gaygication. And its lovely companion term, the sabbatical.
It's just brilliant. It nails the absurdity and the underlying pain, right? It's this forced break from the norm that's often messy, but ultimately liberating for the person involved.
Definitely. And while we're laughing at gaycation, it's important to circle back to the brother one last time, his first reaction. Awful, homophobic, driven by shock.
Right.
But he apologized. Genuinely, it seems. He accepted the reality, even the part where SIL wasn't a cheating whore. He used the resources OOP gave him. He wasn't just a villain. He was a person whose entire life plan just got nuked from orbit, and he eventually handled it with some grace.
Yeah, that's a really important nuance. Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway for everyone listening, besides the killer new vocabulary?
I think the core lesson isn't really the drama. It's the quiet power of just being visible. OOP didn't do anything to her SIL. She just was.
Just lived her life happily.
Yeah, and that simple visibility, that authenticity, it can be enough to completely dismantle the internalized structures of compulsory heterosexuality for someone else. Living your truth. That's never the asshole move.
Makes you think.
It really does. Because if so much of our identity is tied up in performing for society, and if just being alone with yourself for a few months can radically change how you see yourself, well, it raises a question for all of us, doesn't it?
Richard?
What roles are you performing right now? What societal expectations have you absorbed that aren't actually yours? Where's your own personal gauge-ication? Maybe waiting to bubble up.
Deep thoughts for a Tuesday. Okay, maybe something to ponder. And look, if you suddenly do find yourself contemplating a sabbatical after hearing this, maybe chat with a professional first.
Probably good advice.
All right, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.